I have come to the conclusion that one useless man is called a disgrace. That two are called a law firm. And that three or more become a Congress. And by God, I've had this Congress. For 10 years, King George and his Parliament have gulled, cullied, and diddled these colonies with their illegal taxes. Stamp Acts, Townsend Acts, Sugar Acts, Tea Acts. And when we dared to stand up like men, they stopped our trade, seized our ships, blockaded our ports, burned our towns, and spilled our blood. And still this Congress won't grant any of my proposals on independence. Even so much as the courtesy of open debate. Good God! What the hell are they waiting for?
Sit down, John! Sit down, John! Nothing's done! Sit down! Sit down, John! Sit down, John! Nothing's done! Sit down!
Oh, well,
It's time to reach. Have mercy, John, please. It's hot down in Philadelphia. Open up the window.
I say, vote yes, vote for independency.
Open up the window.
I say, vote yes,
Sit down, John.
vote for independency.
Open up the window. Too late, Lord. Too late, Lord. What a time now. Philadelphia. Open up the window. Can't we come on here?
Vote yes,
Vote
yes.
Oh, for God's sake, John, sit down.
God, consider yourselves fortunate that you have John Adams to abuse. But no sane man would tolerate it.
John, you're poor. We've heard this before. Now, for God's sake, John, sit down.
Vote yes,
No.
vote yes,
No.
vote for independency.
Open up the window.
I say vote yes,
Sit down, John.
vote for independency. Will someone shut that man up? Never! Never! Dear God! For one solid year they've been sitting here. A whole year. Doing nothing. I do believe you played a curse on North America. A curse that we had now rehearsed in Philadelphia. A second flood, a simple famine, plagues of locusts everywhere, or a cataclysmic earthquake, I'd accept with some despair. But no, you sent us Congress. Good God, sir, was that fair? I say this with humility, Philadelphia, where your responsibility, Philadelphia. If you don't want to see us hanging on some far off British hill, you don't want the voice of independency forever still, then God, sir, get thee to it, for Congress never will. You see, we twiddle, twiddle, and resolve, not one damn thing do we solve. Twiddle, twiddle, and resolve, nothing's ever solved. Beaten, fuming, foggy, filthy Philadelphia. Oh, shut up!
I now call Congress' attention to the position of Mr. Melchior May, who claims $20 compensation for his dead mule. It seems the animal was employed transporting luggage in service to the Congress.
The question then would appear to be one of occasion. Prove the mule spotted not while carrying, but after being unloaded, then surely the beast dropped dead on its own time.
Good God! They may sit here for years and years in Philadelphia. These indecisive grenadiers of Philadelphia. They can't agree on what is right or wrong, or what is good or bad. And give it the only purpose this Congress ever had was to gather here specifically to drive John Adams mad. See, we piddle, twiddle, and resolve, not one damn thing do we solve. Piddle, twiddle, and resolve, nothing's ever solved. All beaten, you mean foggy, filthy Philadelphia. Oh,
because you're a scientist, but that's because you make everything so complicated. It's all quite simple, really. Just tell the Congress to declare independence. And sign your name out there and carry on to me. I'm shooting all after the Terry little monkey's turning world. Little behind the evil, and I'm coming down with one. They say we make it so.
Madam, what else is new? Abigail, in my last letter I told you that King George has collected 12,000 German mercenaries to send against us. I asked you to organize the ladies to make saltpeter for gunpowder. Have you done as I asked?
No, I am not.
Why have you not?
Because you neglected to tell us how saltpeter is made.
By treating sodium nitrate with potassium chloride, of course.
Oh, yes, of course.
It will be done then?
John, I'm afraid we have a more urgent problem.
More urgent, madam?
There's one thing every person in Massachusetts Bay. Just murdered me is egotist pain. We two will not day. We've gone from breathing at the bottom and we cannot find a pit. Don't you know there's a morons and traitors with grit? Well, we will not make no pizza until you cannot see.
Things, madam. Saltpeter. 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 Peter. 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 Done, madam. Done.
Not John. Hurry home, John.
As soon as I'm able.
Don't stop writing. It's all I have.
Every day, my dearest friend. Till then, I am as I ever was, and ever shall be. Yours, 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 yours. So Peter, John. Where in God's name are you?
Right here, John. Being preserved for posterity. Do you like it?
It stinks.
That's after the sole attack.
The man's no Botticelli. The subject's no Venus. Franklin, you heard what I suffered yesterday?
Well, heard, of course I heard. Along with the rest of Philadelphia.
Lord, your voice is piercing, John. I wish to heaven my arguments were. My God, Franklin, when will they make up their minds? With one hand, they can raise an army, dispatch one of their own to lead it, and cheer the news from Bunker's Hill, while with the other they wave the olive branch, begging the king for a happy and permanent reconciliation. Why, damn it, Fat George has declared us a rebellion. Why, bloody hell, can't they?
John, really? You told us if independence was the rule. It's never been done before. No colony has ever broken from the parent step in the history of the world.
Damn it, Franklin, you make me sound treasonous.
What? Treason. Treason is a charge invented by women as an excuse for hanging illusion.
I abhor to do the stand and listening to you quote yourself.
Well, that was a new one.
Damn it, Franklin, we're at war!
To defend ourselves, nothing more. We expressed our displeasure. The English moved against us, and we in turn have resisted. Now our fellow congressmen want to effect our reconciliation before it becomes a war.
Reconciliation, my ass. The people want independence.
The people have read Mr. Payne's common sense. I doubt the Congress has. John, why don't you know? Nobody listens to you. You're obnoxious to this life.
I'm not promoting John Adams. I'm promoting independence.
Evidently, they cannot help connecting the two.
What are you suggesting?
Get somebody else in Congress to propose it.
Never! Why? What did you have in mind?
I don't know. I really haven't given it much thought.
The Sudbury Benjamin? Never! Hello, Johnny. It's Richard.
Richard, John and I need some advice.
It's mine to give. It's yours. You know that.
Thank you, Richard. As you know, the cause that we support has come to a complete standstill. Now, why do you suppose that is?
Simple. Johnny here is obnoxious in his light.
Yes, that's true. What's the solution, I wonder?
Get someone else in Congress to propose.
That's brilliant! Wasn't that brilliant, John? Brilliant. Yes. Now, the question remains, who can it be? The man we need must belong to a delegation publicly committed to support independence. At the present time, only Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Delaware have declared our way.
And Virginia, Benji. Don't forget Virginia.
Oh, of course, Richard, how could I? But strictly speaking, while Virginia's views of independence are well known, your legislature in Williamsburg has never fully authorized its application here in Congress to support the cause. Of course, if we could think of a Virginian with enough influence to go down there and persuade the House of Burgesses to...
Hear me if I haven't thought of someone.
Who?
Me!
Why didn't I think of that?
I'll leave tonight, but hell, right now, like, I'll stop off at Stratford just long enough to refresh the missus, and then straight to the matter. Virginia, the land that gave us our glorious commander-in-chief. George Washington will now give the continent its proposal on independence. And when Virginia proposes, the South is bound to follow. And where the South goes, the middle colonies go. Gentlemen, a salute to Virginia, the mother of American independence.
Incredible. We're free and he hasn't even left yet. What makes you so sure you can do it?
Miss Richard Henry Lee, Virginia is my home. My name is Richard Henry Lee, Virginia is my home. And name my horse and turn the glue. If I can't clear up you, resolution on independency. For I am M.N.D. First family in the sovereign colony of Virginia. Yes, the M.N.D. The oldest family in the oldest colony in America. And me I'm ready to burn my land if I can't deliver to your hand resolution on independency. You see, it's clearly, verily, everywhere, socially,
Political, financial, natural, internal, external, fraternally, eternally.
the M.N.D. First family in the colony of Virginia. I can't deliver the same resolution on independency.
Spoken modestly.
You will not, you will. They say that God in heaven is everybody's God. Believe that God in heaven is everybody's God. But also look at John right, the people on the side of the leaves of old Virginia. You see, it's purely, verily, everywhere, look out there, Arthur Lee, Bobby Lee, General Light Horse Harry Lee, Jesse Lee, Willie Lee.
After today,
That's me. And make my blood stop running blue. If I can't live up to you, resolution on independency. Oh my God, clearly, come on, boys, clearly,
when do you leave?
leave, shortly, and I'll come back, I'm gonna be here,
That was the most revolting display I've ever witnessed.
They're a warm-blooded people, Virginians.
Not him, Franklin, you. You and your infernal obsession for deviouses. If you'd come right out and asked him straight, he would have been gone half an hour ago.
Cheer up, John. Once again, our cause is riding high. Sitting straight in the saddle and in full gallop for Virginia.
and the women, full bosom, yes, Benny, full bosom, everyone a queen, they are ladies, damn it, the ladies of old Virginia, see it's eerily, verily, when they're full of lively,
Yeah?
I'm Dr. London Hall, the delegate from Georgia.
Anything at all, the Fowler back there, and the It won't be too long, please.
Where does the Georgia delegation belong?
They mill about over there in the corner, near to Carolina.
Dr. Turner, I was told the Congress convened this term.
They'll be coming in any time now with old Reagan leading the pack.
Oh, who?
McNair!
Reagan.
Fetch me around.
Mr. Hopkins, you'll be pleased to meet Dr. Lyman Hopkins.
I don't need it.
New delegate from Georgia.
Well, why didn't you say so? I'm Stephen Hopkins, old delegate from Rhode Island. McNair, 2 miles around.
I fear it's a little early in the day.
Nonsense. It's a medicinal fact that rum gets a man's heart started in the morning. I thought you'd know it. Speaking as the oldest man in Congress, Ben Franklin's older by almost a year. Come on. So tell me, Dr. Hall, where's Georgia stand on the question of independence?
We're South Carolina, of course.
Good morning, Eddie. Shake the hand of Dr. Lyman Hall, new delegate from Georgia. Doctor, this here is Edward Rutledge, from whichever Caroline says from. God knows I can't keep him straight.
It's an honor, sir.
Well, you've met the longest Georgia now, Doctor. Eddie here's only 26. He's the youngest of us.
Except for Ben Franklin.
McNair!
Your run's over there.
Where did you go for it, huh? In Jamaica?
Where does Georgia stand on the question of independence?
I'm here without explicit instructions, and of my own personal conviction.
And they are
Personal.
Dr. Hall. The South speaks with one voice. It is traditional. Even more, it's historical.
These are all my patient mom, and I can't take them all day.
Enter Delaware, Tria Yocta Uno.
Big man, oh, did you know I can't follow none of them damn French?
Latin from the king, a tribute to the eternal peace and harmony of the Delaware delegation.
What are you saying, man? You know perfectly well that neither London or I can stand this little work.
Gentlemen, gentlemen. Dr. Lyman Hall of Georgia, Caesar Rodney, Colonel Thomas McKean, and George Reed.
Where do you stand on independence, sir?
With South Carolina, it seems.
I leave the doctor in your excellent company.
Tell me, sir. Would you be doctor of medicine or theology?
Both, Mr. Rodney. Which one can be of service?
By all means, physician first. And then we shall see about the other.
I'll call it your convenience.
I trust, Caesar, that when you're through converting the poor fellow to independency, that you'll give the opposition a fair crack.
You're too late, John. Once I get them, they're gone. Dr. Lyman Hall of Georgia, Mr. John Dickinson of Pennsylvania.
And others, sir. Pleasure.
Judge Wilson, forgive me, but how can anyone see you if you insist on sending Mr. Dickinson's shadow? James Wilson, also from Pennsylvania.
An honor, sir.
Get out of my way, please. Good morning, all.
Good Lord, have the honor to be Dr. Franklin?
Yes, I have that honor. Unfortunately, the gout accompanies the honor.
I'm living too high here, ain't happy.
Stephen, I only wish King George felt like my big toe. All over.
McNair! Fetch your stool! And 2 more mugs around. Well, Franklin, there's that idiot Reed. Has he returned yet? I don't see him.
Softly, John. Your voice is hurting my throat.
1 more day, Franklin. That's how long it remains silent. And not a minute longer. That strutting Papa Jake was so damn sure of himself. He said time to bring back a dozen proposals by now.
Tell me, James, how do we explain the strange, monumental quietness that Congress has been treated to these past 30 days? Has the winds of independency finally blown itself out? I don't know. As for myself, I must confess that a month free from New England noise is more therapeutic than a month in a country. Don't you agree, James?
Oh, maybe, yes.
Mr. Adams, pray, the 3 old boys, sir. It cannot be far. And God knows we could use the entertainment in this Congress.
Congratulations, John. You've just made your greatest contribution to independence. Have your love, sir.
1 more day, Franklin.
Gentlemen, the usual morning festivities concluded. I will now call Congress to order. Mr. Thompson,
The Second Continental Congress, meeting in the city of Philadelphia, 7 June 1776, the 380th meeting, the Honorable John Hancock of Massachusetts Bay, President.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. McNair, stores of rum and other drinking spirits are hereby closed to the colony of Rhode Island for a period of 3 days.
Yes, sir.
Hey, do that.
Sit down, Mr. Hopkins. You refuse the privilege. The chair would like to take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Lyman Hall of Georgia, to the Congress, and host the New England Professor in Rice and Times.
All members present with the following exceptions: Mr. Charles Carroll of Maryland, Mr. Samuel Adams of Massachusetts, Mr. Button Whitted of Georgia, Mr. George White, and Mr. Richard Henry Lee of Virginia, and the entire delegation of New Jersey, sir.
I'm concerned with the continued absence of 113th in this Congress. Where is New Jersey?
Somewhere between New York and Pennsylvania.
Thank you so much. Mr. Frank, Dr. Franklin, have you heard anything yourself besides that? Some sort of what son? Royal Governor of New Jersey, sir. At the present time, we are not in touch. Yes, very well. The weather report. Mr. Jefferson of Virginia. Mr. Jefferson! Present, sir. Did we hear about the weather? The report already speaking for itself. 87 degrees temperature, 31 on 6 inches mercury, wind from the southwest for the rest of the day. Tonight, I'll leave for home. On business, now.
Give her a go on for me, young fella. From the Commander, Army of the United Colonies in New York, dispatch number 1137. To the Honorable Congress, John Hancock, President, dear sir. It is with grave apprehension that I have learned this day of the sailing from Halifax, Nova Scotia, of a considerable force of British troops in the company of foreign mercenaries, and under the command of General Sir William Howe. There can be no doubt that their destination is New York, for to take and to hold this city and the Hudson Valley beyond would serve to separate New England from the other colonies, permitting both sections to be crushed in turn. Sadly, I see no way of stopping it at the present time, as my army is absolutely falling apart. My military chest is totally exhausted. My commissary general has strained his credit to the last. My quartermaster has no food, no arms, no ammunition, and my troops are in a state of mutiny. I pray God some relief arise before the Armada, but fear it will not. Your obedience, G. Washington.
Mr. President, surely we've managed to promote the gloomiest man on this continent to the head of our troops. Those dispatches are the most depressing accumulation of doom, disaster, and despair in the entire annals of military history. And furthermore...
Please, Colonel King.
What?
It's too hot.
Oh, yes. I suppose so.
General Washington will continue wording his dispatches as he sees fit. And I'm sure we all pray he finds happier thoughts to convey in the near future. Mr. Thompson, are there any resolutions? Dr. Josiah Bartlett, Command. Resolved that for the duration of the present hostilities, the Congress discourages every type of extravagant and dissipation, elaborate funerals, and other expensive diversions, especially all horse racing.
Lincoln back! Hello, Johnny!
Richard, I'm pleased to see.
What news did you want? Lee, is it done?
First things first, Tom, no pride wants to know.
What?
When's he coming home?
Leave tonight. Never mind about that. Is it done?
Done? Why, certainly! Mr. President, I've arrived from Virginia with the following resolution. Resolved that these united colonies are, and of a right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is, and ought to be, totally dissolved.
Mr. President,
Resolution has been proposed and seconded. The chair will now entertain the debate.
Mr. President, Pennsylvania moves, as always, that the question of independence be postponed indefinitely.
I second the motion. Judge Wilson, in your eagerness to be loved, you seem to have forgotten that Pennsylvania may not second its own motion. Delaware second.
You what? And now ways on.
Motion to postpone has been moved and seconded. Mr. Thompson.
On the motion to postpone indefinitely the resolution on independence as proposed by the colony of Virginia, or to proceed with the debate, all those in favor of debate say yea, all those who postpone it say nay. The New Hampshire.
New Hampshire favors debate and says yea.
New Hampshire says yea. Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, having borne the brunt of the king's tyranny, Massachusetts now and for all time says yea.
Massachusetts says yea. Rhode Island. Where's Mr. Hopkins? Rhode Island.
Rhode Island's out. Visiting unnecessary.
After what Rhode Island's consumed, I can't say I'm surprised. We'll go back to him, Mr. Thompson.
Rhode Island passes. Connecticut.
While Connecticut has until now been against this, our legislature has instructed me that in the event it's introduced by any colony outside New England, Connecticut can not any longer report support. Connecticut says yea.
Connecticut says yea. New York. Mr. Secretary, New York abstains.
Courteously.
New York abstains.
Courteously.
New Jersey.
Absent, Mr. Secretary.
Oh, yes, of course. Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, for the 24th time, says nay.
Pennsylvania says nay. Delaware.
Delaware has ever for independence says yea.
Delaware says yea. Maryland.
Maryland would welcome independence.
Would give blood. High. Maryland says nay. Virginia.
Virginia, first colony, says yea.
Virginia says yea. North Carolina.
North Carolina, respectfully used to South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Mr. President, although we in South Carolina have never seriously considered the question of independence, when a gentleman proposes it, attention must be paid. However, we in the South, unlike our friends to the North, have no cause for impatience at the present time. If, at some future date, it becomes the desire of all of our fellow colonies to effect a separation, we will not stand in the way. But for the time being, South Carolina will wait and watch.
South Carolina says nay.
North Carolina
Says nay. Yes, of course, Mr. Hughes, I know that. Georgia. Georgia.
Mr. Secretary, Georgia seems to be split right down the middle on this subject. People are against it, and I'm for it. I'm not yet certain whether representing the people means relying on their judgment or whatever. So in all fairness, until I can figure it out, I better lean a little towards their side. Georgia says nay.
Georgia says nay. Rhode Island. Second call, Rhode Island.
I'm coming. Hold your damn horse.
The Congress is waiting on you, Mr. Hopkins.
I won't kill you. You'd think Congress would have its own business. So tell me, where's the stand?
5 for debate, 5 for postponement. There's 1 abstention and 1 absence.
So, it's up to me, is it?
Sir.
Well, I'll tell you, in all my years, I ain't never heard, seen, or smelled an issue that was so dangerous it couldn't be talked about. Hell yes, I'm for debating anything. Rhode Island says yes.
Right there! Get Mr. Hopkins a rope!
But you said
Get him the whole damn barrel if you want.
yes, sir.
The chair now declares his Congress a committee of the whole, for the purpose of debating Virginia's resolution on independence. Mr. Dickinson.
Well now, you've got your way at last. I must confess, I'm almost relieved. There's a question I've been fairly itching to ask you. Why?
Why what, Mr. Dickinson?
Why independence, Mr. Adams?
For the obvious reason that our continued association with Great Britain has grown intolerable.
To whom, Mr. Adams? To you? Then I suggest that you sever your ties immediately. But please be kind enough to leave the rest of us where we are. Personally, I have no objection to being part of the greatest empire on earth, to enjoying its protection, sharing its benefits.
Benefits? What benefits? Cruel repressions, crippling taxes, abolished rights?
Is that all England means to you, sir? Is that all the affection and pride you can muster for the nation that bore you? For the noblest, most civilized nation on the face of this planet? Would you have us forsake Hastings and Magna Carta? Strongbow and Lionel? Marlborough and Brittany? Tudors, Stuarts, and Plantagenets? For what, sir? Tell me, for what? Some men are patriots, like General Washington. Some are anarchists, like Mr. Payne. Some even internationalists, like Dr. Franklin. But you, sir, you are merely an agitator, disturbing the peace, creating disorder, endangering the public welfare, and for what? Your petty little complaints. Your taxes are too high. There's so am I. Now come, Mr. Adams. If you have any grievance, then I'm sure that you have. Our system was provided gentler means of rejecting. Short revolution. That once, nothing short of it will satisfy. Violence, rebellion, treason. Now, Mr. Adams, are these the acts of Englishmen?
No, Englishmen think it's an American!
No, Englishmen!
Please, Mr. Dickinson, but must you start banging? How was the man to sleep?
Forgive me, Dr. Frank, but must you start speaking? I was a man to stay awake. We promise to be quiet, sir. I'm sure everyone prefers that you remain asleep.
If I didn't hear myself called an Englishman, sir, then I assure you I prefer I remain asleep.
What's so bad about being called an Englishman? The English don't seem to mind.
Nor would I, for I give him the full rights of an Englishman. But to call me one without those rights is like calling him out simple. He's thankful for the honor, but he'd much rather restore what's rightful to you.
When did you first notice they were missing? Fortunately, these colonies maintain a higher regard for their mother country.
I am certain that she feels for them. Never was such a vital possession so stupidly and recklessly managed in its entire continent by the British Crown. Our industry discouraged, our resources pillaged, and worst of all, our very character stifled. We've spawned a new race here. Rougher, simpler, more enterprising, more violent, and less refined. We're a new nationality, Mr. Dickinson. We require a new nation.
That may be your opinion, Doctor. But as I said, the people feel quite ignorant.
What do you know about the people, Dickinson? You don't represent the people, you represent only yourself. And that precious status quo you keep employing people to preserve for their own good is nothing more than the eternal preservation of your own property.
Mr. Adams, you have the annoying talent for making such a delightful word as property sound quite distant. In heaven's name, what's so wrong with property? Have you forgotten that most of us came to these shores in order to secure rights for property, and that we hold no less dear than the ones that you speak of?
So safe, so fat, so comfortable in Pennsylvania.
And what is this independence but the private grievance of Massachusetts? Why is it always Boston that breaks their king's peace? My dear, you must not adopt this evil vision, for surely it is the work of the devil. Leave it where it belongs, in New England.
Brother Dickinson, New England has been fighting the devil for more than 100 years.
Yes, and brother, sure. The devil has been winning, hands down. By this very moment, sitting, this moment, dominant in deceive you. This proposal is entirely his doing.
Just me!
Oh, we make fair Virginia's name. But it reads of Adams, Adams, and more Adams. Look at him, ready to lead this continent down the fiery path of total destruction.
Why can't you acknowledge it already exists? It's been more than a year since Compton elected came. Get it, man, we're at war right now!
You may be at war, you Boston and John Adams, but you will never speak for Pennsylvania.
Nor for Delaware.
Mr. Reed, representative of the 3rd Delaware, the sensible 3rd, Mr. Rodney.
Sit down! Roach, you're all knocking. Put down the three of you. McNair, do something about these damn flies.
There, let me around.
Get the flies first.
Around.
I've only got 2 hands.
Christ, that's hot. Please do go on, gentlemen. You're creating the only freeze in Philadelphia.
Perhaps you could clear something up for me. After we've achieved independence, who do you propose to govern in South Carolina?
People, of course.
Which people, sir? The people of South Carolina? Or the people of Massachusetts?
Why don't you admit it, Denny? You're against independence now, and you always have been.
Aye. You refuse to understand this, gentlemen. We desire independence, yes, for South Carolina. That is our country. And as such, we don't wish it to belong to anyone. Not to England, and not to you. We intend to be one nation, brother.
A nation of sovereign states, Mr. Adams, united for our mutual protection. That is what we have understood independence to be. And that is what we will support. As soon as everyone supports it.
There you are, Mr. Adams. You must see that we need time to discover who we are, where we stand in regard to one another. If we do not determine the nature of the beast before we set it free, we'll end it by consuming us all.
For once in your life, Wilson, take a chance. I saved you kindness now. It may never come again. Your plot is fast, Mr. Evans. I say we're not just right for independence.
Not right. Hell, we're rotten for one. Gentlemen, please, put the goddamn super on earth. Why not so much? We settle now. Strong now, Mr. Chase. General Washington is in the field. He's defeated as a narrow field. We avoid that. But if by some miracle he should actually win, we could then declare things down well.
The citizens of North Carolina, has it ever occurred to either of you that an army needs something to fight for in order to win? A cause, a purpose, a flag to go?
Mr. Adams, how can a nation of only 2 million souls stand up to an empire of 10 million? Think of it, 10 million. How do we compensate for that shortage?
Simple, Mr. Chase. Increase and multiply.
Not bad.
But we will more than compensate. With spirit. I tell you, there's a spirit out there with the people that's sadly lacking in this Congress.
Oh, yes, of course. Now it's spirit. Why didn't I think of that? No army, no navy, no arms, no ammunition, no treasury, no friends. But bless my soul, spirit. Mr. Hopkins. Mr. Rodney. That's right there. Why have you joined this incendiary little man? This Boston radical? This agitator? This madman?
Are you calling me a madman? You fellow! You and your Pennsylvania proprietors, cool, considerate men. You keep to the rear of every issue so that we should go on your steering me afloat.
John, are you calling me?
Yes, coward!
Madman!
Landlord!
Stop! This is a Congress! Stop what I say! The enemy is out there!
No, Mr. Rodney, the enemy is here!
No, I say he's out there! England! Closing in! Cutting off our air! There's no time! No air! Oh.
Caesar! Dr. Hall! Colonel McKinney, aye, it's the cancer. You should go home.
Yes. Her man should die in his own bed. John,
I'm here, Caesar.
you undivided Delaware. Forgive me.
I'll take you home, Caesar.
I'll be back. President, South Carolina calls for question. What is that, Mr. Rutledge? I said it, Mr. President. South Carolina desires to end debate and call the question of independence. Question has been called and seconded. Mr. Secretary, you will report the locals.
Franklin, do something. Think.
I'm thinking that it's coming.
All those in favor of the resolution on independency, as proposed by the colony of Virginia, signify by
Mr.
saying.
President, would you read the resolution again? I see you are not. Oh, Mr. Thompson.
Resolved, that these United Colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to this crown.
I beg your pardon. I'm Reverend John Witherspoon. You go, New Jersey.
Where do you stand on independence?
Dr. Franklin, I regret that I must be the bearer of unhappy tidings. Your son, the Royal Governor of New Jersey, is taken prisoner and moved to the colony of Connecticut for safekeeping.
Is he unharmed, sir?
But as I heard, he was, yes, sir.
Oh, why the long face? I heard Connecticut is a sensitive location. Why don't you arrest him for that?
Our New Jersey legislature has called the oath delegation to this Congress and say a new one.
Quickly, where do you stand on independence?
Oh, haven't I made that clear?
No!
No, I suppose I haven't. Then that was the reason for the change. We've been instructed to vote for independence.
Mr. President, Massachusetts is now ready for the vote on independence. As we vice chairman, special privilege to decide our votes in a deadlock. I won't forget that, Mr. Adams. The chair would like to welcome Reverend Witherspoon to the Congress and appoint a professional chaplain, if he will accept the post.
What pleasure, sir.
Very well. Then proceed to vote. Mr. Thompson.
All those in favor of the resolution on independency, as proposed by the colony of Virginia,
Mr.
signify.
President, Pennsylvania moves that any vote on independence be unanimous.
I second the motion. Judge Wilson!
Delaware second, Mr. President.
No votes ever had to be unanimous, Dickinson, and you know it.
Yes, but this one must,
On what grounds?
that no colony be torn from its mother country without its own state.
But it'll never be unanimous, damn it.
If you say so, Mr. Adams.
It has been moved and seconded. Voter independency must be unanimous in order to count. All those in favor signify by saying yea. 6 colonies say yea. Against?
Nay.
6 colonies say nay. Mr. Secretary of New York, Gibson.
Mr. Livingston, why does New York constantly abstain? Why doesn't New York simply stay in New York? Very well, the vote is tied. The principles of independence have no greater advocate in this Congress than its president. That's why I was sure those who voted before you did. What? Stop! What are you doing, you sucker? Now hear me out. Don't you see that any colony who opposes independence will be forced to fight on the side of England? And we will be setting brother against brother, and our new nation will carry as its emblem the mark of Cain? I can see no other way. We all walk together, together we must stay where we are. Very well, Mr. Thompson, proceed with the vote.
A unanimous vote being necessary to carry. If any be
Mr.
opposed,
President!
for heaven's sake, let me get through it just once.
Mr. President, I move for postponement.
Postponement? I wish you had the same Long Island with it.
Mr. Adams is right. We need a postponement.
On one ground.
Mr. President, how can this Congress vote on independence without some sort of declaration defining it?
What sort of declaration?
Well, you know, listing the reasons for the separation, and our goals and aims, so on and so forth, etc., etc. Ditto.
We know those, don't we?
Well, good God, yes, we know them. But what about the rest of the world? Certainly we require the aid of a powerful nation like France or Spain. And such a document would be consistent with European delicacy.
Oh, now, Mr. Adams, I'm better than that. On such a string, what would be its purpose?
Yes.
Placed before mankind the common sense of the in terms so plain and so firm as the commander said.
Mr. Jefferson, are you seriously suggesting that we publish a paper declaring to the whole world that illegal rebellion is back? The legal one?
Why, Mr. Dickinson, not surprising you. You should know that rebellion is always legal in the first person. Sometimes our rebellion is only in the third person. Their rebellion. That is illegal. Mr. President, I second the motion to postpone the loan independence for a period of time sufficient for the writing of the declaration. It has been moved and seconded. Mr. Thompson.
All those in favor of the motion to postpone signify by saying yea.
Yay.
The 6 colonies say yea. All those against signify by saying nay.
Yay.
6 colonies say nay. Mrs. Secretary, New York is 8.
30.
Mr. Livingston, what the hell goes on in New York?
Sorry, Mr. President, but the simple fact is that our legislature has never sent us explicit instructions on anything.
Never? That's impossible.
Mr. President, have you ever been to a meeting of the New York legislature? They speak very loud, very fast, and nobody pays attention to anything else, with the result that nothing ever gets done. I beg the Congress pardon.
My sympathies, Mr. Morris. But again, being kind, the chair decides in favor for the postponement. So ruled. A committee will now be formed to manage the declaration. Said document to be written, debated, and approved by July 2nd, 3 weeks hence, in which Virginia's resolution of independence will finally be voted. Will the following gentlemen please serve the declaration? Dr. Benjamin Franklin, Mr. John Adams, Mr. Sherman, Mr. Livingston, and of course, Mr. Lee.
Excuse me, but I must be returning to the sovereign country of Virginia, as I have been asked to serve as the governor. Therefore, I must decline. Respectful. Please.
Very well, Mr. Lee, you're excused. I suppose we could leave it to a four-man committee. Just a minute, Mr. President. This business needs a Virginia. Therefore, I propose replacement. Mr. Thomas Jefferson.
No, Mr. Adams, no.
Very well, Mr. Adams. Mr. Jefferson. I'm going home too. My wife. Move to adjourn.
Second.
Wait. Moved in second. Moved in second. Any objections? Yes, I have objections. Very well, Congress stands adjourned. All right, gentlemen, let's get on with it. Which one of us is going to write our declaration on independence?
Mr. Adams, I say you should write it. To your legal-minded, please, sweet and firm.
Is that so? Well, if I'm the one to do it, they'll run their book, let's do it. I'm obnoxious and dislike, you know that, sir.
Yes, I know.
So I say you should write it, Franklin, yes you.
Hell no.
Yes you, Dr. Franklin, you.
But, Mr. Adams, Mr. Adams, the things I write are only lying extemporanea. I won't put politics on paper, it's a mania. So I refuse to use the pen in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania, refuse to use the pen.
Mr. Sherman, I say you should write it. You are never controversial, as it were.
That is true.
Whereas if I'm the one to do it, they'll run their mouth and do it. I'm obnoxious and dislike, you know that, sir.
Yes, I do.
So I say you should write it, Roger, yes you.
Heavens, no.
Yes you, Roger Sherman, you.
What?
Mr. Adams, but Mr. Adams, I cannot ride with any style or proper etiquette. I don't know a participle from a predicate. I am just a simple cobbler from Connecticut.
Connecticut, Connecticut, a single glory.
Mr. Livingston, maybe you should write it. You have many friends and you're a diplomat.
Hold that word.
Whereas if I'm the one to do it, they'll run their group and do it.
He's obnoxious and disliked. Did you know that? I hadn't heard.
So I say you should write it, Robert. Yes, you.
Johnny.
Yes, you, Robert Livingston. You what?
Mr. Adams. What? Mr. Adams. I've been presented with a new son by the middle start. So I am going home to celebrate and pop the court with all the Livingstons together back on New York. New York, New York. Livingston's going to pop a court.
Mr. Jefferson. Mr. Adams.
Leave me alone.
La la la. La 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 la. Mr. Adams. And we solemnly declare that we shall preserve our liberties, being with one mind resolved to die free men, rather than to the slaves. Thomas Jefferson on the necessity of taking up arms, 1775, magnificent. You write 10 times better than any man in this Congress, including me. For a man of only 33 years, you possess a happy talent for composition and a remarkable felicity of expression. Now then, sir, will you be a patriot or a lover? Lover. No! Well, I'm third, Mr. A. So do I, Mr. J.
You do? John, who'd have thought?
Mr. Jefferson, dear Mr. Jefferson, I'm only 41, I still have my mobility, and I can walk through Cupid's Grove with great agility. But life is more than sexual combustibility. Quiet! You'll write it then, Mr. J? Who will make me, Mr. A? I. You? Yes. How? By brute physical force, if necessary. It's your duty. Your duty, damn it. Mr. Adams! Damn you, Mr. Adams! You're obnoxious and dislike that cannot be denied. Once again you stand between me and my lovely bride. Oh, Mr. Adams, you're driving me to homicide!
Homicide!
What? The choice is yours, Mr. Jefferson. Do as you like with it.
We may see her.
Jefferson! Are you finished? You've had a whole week. Is it done? Can I see it? There comes a time in the lives of men when it becomes necessary to advance from that subordination in which they have hitherto. This is terrible. Where's the rest of it? Do you mean to say it's not finished?
No, sir, I mean to say it's not yet begun.
Oh, good God, a whole week! The entire Earth was created in a week.
They must tell me how you did
Disgusting. Look at him, Franklin. Virginia's most famous love.
it. Virginia upstate.
Cheer up, Jefferson. It'll come right, I promise you. Now get back to work. Franklin, tell him to get back to work.
He's asleep.
Franklin, wake up!
Hello. Look, who are you? John, who is she?
His wife. I hope.
What makes you think so?
Because I sent for her.
You what?
Well, it simply occurred to me the sooner his problem was solved, the sooner our problem was solved.
Good thinking, John. Good thinking.
Madam, may I present myself? John Adams. Adams. John Adams. And this is Dr. Franklin, inventor of the stove. Jefferson, would you kindly present me to your wife? She's a wife, isn't she?
Of course she is. Look how they fit. Well, come on, John.
Come along, where? There's work to be done.
Obviously.
Oh, good God. You mean they? They're going to, in the middle of the afternoon?
Not everyone's from Boston, John. Well, good night, John.
Have you eaten yet, Franklin?
Oh, not
I
yet.
didn't turn this special lunch grace.
I have a rendezvous, John. I'd ask you long, but talking makes her nervous.
Incredible. I'm very lonely, Abigail.
Are you done? As long as you're attending to wives, why did you send for your own?
Don't be unreasonable, Abigail.
Well, down to reason. You must add that to your list.
List?
Count on my fault included in your last letter.
They were fondly intended, madam.
Can I play cards, badly?
A compliment.
Is my posture sweet?
An endearment.
Did I breathe right and think too much?
An irony.
That I'm pigeon-toed?
Well, there you have me, Annie. I'm afraid you are pigeon-toed. Come to Philadelphia, Abigail. Please come.
Thank you, John. I do want to. But you know that's not possible now. The children have to
Yes, so you wrote Tom and Little Abby.
Well, we know. Quincy and Charles. And here's the farm here in Braintree is failing, John. Chickens and geese have all died. And the apples never survived the late frost. How do you suppose she managed to get away?
The winters are softer in Virginia.
And they're women, John.
Pale, beauty things beside New England girls.
John, thank you for that.
How goes it with you, Abby?
Not well, John. Not at all. I live like a nun in a cloister, solitary, savage, I hate it.
I live like a monk in an abbey. Ditto, ditto, I hate it.
Try to breathe with let me revel in romantic illusion.
Do you still smell of vanilla and spring air? And is my favorite lover's pillow still firm and fair?
As you can to my cloister, I forgot the feel of your hand.
Soon, madam, we shall walk in Cupid's road together, and with fondly survey that promised land.
Sorry to be late, John. Been up to all hours. You been here long?
No, not long.
What are you doing out here? I expected you'd be cracking the whip.
Yes, well, there doesn't appear to be anyone starting right now.
My word, you're right. Oh, well, as the French
Oh,
say,
please, Franklin, spare me your body line first thing in the morning. Dare we call?
Congressman dares anything. Go ahead.
Me?
Your voice is more piercing.
Maybe we better come back later. What? What's positively indecent?
Oh, John, they're young and they're wrong.
Not them, Franklin, us. Standing out here, waiting for them to. I mean, what will people think?
Don't worry, the history books will clean things up.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I won't appear in the history books. Only you. Franklin did this. Franklin did that. Franklin did some other damn thing. Franklin stood the ground and out popped George Washington, fully grown and on his horse. Franklin then electrified him with his miraculous lightning rod, and the three of them, Franklin, Washington, and the horse, conducted the entire revolution all by themselves. I like it.
Just look at her, John. Just look at her.
I am.
She's even more magnificent than I ever remember. Good morrow, madam.
Good morrow.
Isn't the habit in Philadelphia for strangers to shout at ladies from the street?
Well, not at all, madam, but we're not.
And for men of your age, not only is it unseemly, it's unsightly.
Excuse me, madam. But we met last evening.
I spoke to no one last evening.
Indeed, you did not, madam, but nevertheless, we presented ourselves. This is Mr. John Adams, and I am Dr. Franklin, the inventor of the stove.
Oh, please, I know your name very well. Did you say you presented yourself?
It's of no matter. Your thoughts were taken elsewhere.
My husband is not yet up.
Shall we start over? Please join us, madam.
Yes, of course. Just a moment.
No wonder the man couldn't write. Who could think of independence married to her?
I beg you to forgive me. It is indeed an honor being the two greatest men in America.
The greatest within earshot, anyway.
I'm not an idle flatterer, Dr. Franklin. My husband admires you both greatly.
And we are doubly flattered. We admire very much that which your husband admires.
Did you sleep well, madam? I mean, did you lie comfortably? Damn it, you know what I mean.
Yes, we do, John. Tell us about yourself, madam. We've had precious little information. What's your first name?
Martha.
Martha. You might at least have told us that. I'm afraid your husband doesn't say very much.
He's the quietest man in Congress. I've never heard him utter 3 sentences together.
Well, not everyone's a talker.
It's true, you know. Tom is not a talker. Oh, he never speaks his passion, he never speaks his views. Whereas other men speak volumes, the man I love is news. In truth, I can't recall being moved with words at all. Even now.
Go on, madam.
How did he win you, Martha? And how does he hold on to a body such as you?
Well, sure, you noticed Tom's a man of many accomplishments. Author, lawyer, farmer, architect, statesman, and still one more that I hesitate to mention.
Yes, what else can that redheaded tombstone do?
He played the violin. He took it right under his chin. And he bowed, oh, he bowed, for he knows, yes, he knows, that it's high, 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 diddle, twixt my heart, time and its fiddle, my strings run strong. I fly, he draws near, very near, and it's high, high, high over the land. Goodbye to the building I see comes down. High, 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 I'm always undone.
Nationals, John, we're taking up the violin.
Very well, madam. You guys play the violin. What happens next?
Next, Mr. Adams?
Yes, what does Tom do now?
Why, just what you expect. We dance.
It's incredible.
Who's playing the violin?
Oh, God, really? Why, John, you can dance.
Not everyone's from Philadelphia, Franklin.
Loving bride, loving wife, loving life, glory my
High, high, Tom, and it's been all never to be. High,
high, high, through eternity.
Franklin, look! He's done it! He's written something! Dear Mr. Adams, I'm taking my wife back to bed. Kindly go away. Your humble and obedient, T. Jefferson.
Well, maybe I should have written the declaration after all. I mean, at my age, there's no doubt that men is much in this sword. For it was high, 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 diddle, diddle, and God bless the man who can fiddle in independency. High, 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 high.
Gentlemen, what follows is a complete and up-to-date list of the committees of this Congress now sitting, about to sit, or just having sat. A committee formed to investigate a complaint made against the quality of bread manufactured at Mr. Henry Pendleton's mill, designated the Yeast Committee. A committee formed to consider the most effective method of dealing with spies, designated the Spies Committee.
A committee formed to think, perhaps to do, but in any case to gather, to meet, to confer, to talk, and yes, perhaps even to resolve that each regiment shall have one drum and one fife attached to each company, designated the Drum and Fife Committee.
Look at it, Doctor. Democracy. What Plato called a charming form of government, full of variety and disorder. I never knew Plato had been to Philadelphia.
McNair, open up the damn window. Ben, I want you to see some cards I've gone and had printed up. It ought to save everybody here a whole lot of time and effort, considering the epidemic of bad disposition going on here lately. Dear sir, you are without any doubt a rogue, a rascal, a villain, a thief, a scoundrel, and a mean, dirty, stinking, sniveling, dipping, pocket-picking, Christ-double-damned, no-good son of a bitch. And you sign your name. What do you think?
Stephen, I'll take a dozen right now.
And there will be a committee formed to answer all congressional correspondence, and designated the Congressional Correspondence Committee.
All right, Frank, enough socializing. There's work to be done.
Good morning, John.
What? Oh, good morning. Now then, let's get on with it.
Let's get on with what?
Unanimity, of course. Look at that form. 6 days to it over a little more than a week.
There will be a committee formed to investigate the problem of counterfeit money, designated the Counterfeit Money Committee.
All right, John, when do we start?
How about Delaware? Sadly, the find on the wrong side of it all this time. So any news about
The Keats back.
Thomas?
A committee formed to investigate the causes of our military defeats in Canada, designated the Military Disaster Committee.
How do you believe he's Is he still alive?
Aye, but the journey to Dover was fearful, Martin. He never complained, but I could see the poor man was suffering.
But you never say you know.
I did, but I doubt he'll ever set foot out of it again.
Then leave you to be split down the middle. Will he come over?
I don't know. He's a stubborn little snot.
Then work at it. Keep at it till you wear him down.
Ah, John, face facts, will ya? If it were just rain standing in our way, it wouldn't be so bad. But look for yourself, man. Maryland, Pennsylvania, the entire South. It's impossible.
It's impossible. We all stand around complaining about it. Now get to work. Keep one foot in front of the other.
I believe I put it in a better way.
Never leave off till tomorrow. Let's shut up, Franklin.
John, what good will it do? You know, Dickinson, he'll never give in. And you haven't heard the last of the road yet either.
Never mind about that. Your job is still what to be. Talking deaf if you have to. Brings back Delaware.
That is a simpler way. This'll break the tie.
There will be a committee formed to how to keep secrets, designated as the Secrets Committee.
All right, John, who's next?
How about Maryland and Pennsylvania? I suggest you try to get your own house in order while I take a crack at the Mr. Chase. How about Chase? When are you coming to your senses? Please, Mr. Adams, not long.
Mr. Wilson, it's time to assert yourself. When you were a judge, how in the hell did you make a decision?
Decisions I make were based on legality and precedent.
There's no legality here.
And certainly no precedent.
Because it's a new idea, you clot. We'll be setting our own precedent.
No, Mr. McKean! No!
Damn it, Elijah! You came into this world screaming no, and you're determined to go out the same way.
The Congress is waiting, Chase. America's waiting. The whole world is waiting. What's that, Joplin? Leave me alone, Mr. Adams. You're wasting your time. I thought we could win this war at the front of your ranks. But you must know it's impossible. You've heard the Washington battle. His army is falling apart. Washington is exaggerating the situation in order to arouse this torpid Congress to action. Why, as chairman of the War Committee, I can tell you for a fact that the army has never been in better shape. Never have troops been more cheerful. Never have soldiers been more resolute. Never have discipline and training been more spirited. Never. Oh, good God.
I have your ear, gentlemen. The Congress is dispatched.
From the Commander, Army of the United Colonies in New York, dispatch number 1157, to the Honorable Congress, John Hancock, President, dear sir. It is with the utmost despair that I must report to you the confusion and disorder that reign in every department. The Continental soldier is as nothing ever seen in this or any other century. He is a misfit, ignorant of hygiene, destructive, disorderly, and totally disrespectful of rank. Only this last is understandable, as there is an incredible reek of stupidity amongst the officers. The situation is most desperate at the New Jersey training ground in New Brunswick, where every able-bodied poor in the colonies has assembled. There are constant reports of drunkenness, desertion, foul language, naked bathing, and an epidemic of French disease. I have declared the town off limits to all military personnel, with the exception of officers. I beseech the Congress to dispatch the War Committee to this place in the hope of restoring some of the order and discipline we need to survive. Your obedient, the G. Washington.
The man with the first hyena. Well, Mr. Adams, you're chairman of the War Committee. Do you feel up to whoring, drinking, deserting, and New Brunswick?
There must be some mistake. I've armed you to New Brunswick.
You must know to keep up the good work.
Come now, Mr. Adams, you must see the truth. Let us recall General Washington, this band of the Continental Army, before we are all overwhelmed.
Oh yes, the English would love that, wouldn't they?
Why not ask him yourself? Then,
When they hang you, Mr. Adams, I do hope to put in a good word for the rest of us.
Face facts, Mr. Adams. A handful of drunken, disorderly recruits against the entire British Army, the finest muscle men on earth. How can we win? How can we even hope to survive?
Answer me straight, please. If you thought we could be the regulars, would marry them to the Indian independence?
Well, I suppose. No supposing. Would you or wouldn't you? Very well, yes, we would.
Then come with me to New Brunswick and see for yourself.
John, hurry up, man! Here, Washington said it's a shambles up there.
They're pushing into it, Johnny. What do you say, Chase?
No, I hate to stand. It sounds lively as hell. All right, why not? Maybe it'll be John Anderson comes instead.
Mr. President, the War Committee will meet General Washington's request. A party consisting of Dr. Franklin, Mr. Chase, and myself will lead the meeting.
Is that satisfactory with you, Dr. Franklin?
Wake up, Franklin. You're going to New Brunswick.
What shall I have? What for?
No whoring and drinking. Come on, Chase. We'll hold that back on. Let's go. Left, right, left, right, left, right. Come on, left.
Eddie, all this talk of independence left a certain power here. My friends and I would appreciate it if you could open some windows.
What about the lock?
The windows, Eddie.
Open the windows, close the windows. We see.
See what I see. Congress, with sweet serenity, I could cheer. The reasons clear. For the first time in a year, Adams is here. And look, the sun is in the sky. The breeze is going by, and there's not a single fly. Sing Hosanna, Hosanna,
Hosanna, Hosanna.
Come ye, conservative men, our light age will be seen again. We have land, cash in hand, self-command, future plan. Fortune rise, society survives, in million lives, with well endowed with wives.
Sing Hosanna, Hosanna.
In our breathing and our prayer, we are consider it sent to the left, to the same minuet, to the right, ever to the right, never to the left, forever to the right. Let our creed be never to exceed regulated speed, no matter what the need.
Sing Hosanna, Hosanna.
Emblazoned on our banners, keep.
To the right, ever to the right, never to the left, or ever to the right.
And attach, tightly latch, everybody match.
I have a new dispatch from the Commander, Army of the United Colonies in New York, dispatch number 1158. To the Honorable Congress, John Hancock, President, dear sir. I awoke this morning to find that General Howe has landed 25,000 British regulars at Hessian mercenaries in Staten Island, and that the fleet, under the command of his brother, Lord Admiral Howe, controls not only the Hudson and these rivers, but also the Republic, which now looks like all of London afloat. I can no longer, in good conscience, withhold from the Congress my certainty that the British military objective at this time is Philadelphia. Happy should I be if I could see the means of preventing them, but at present I confess I do not. However, I wish I had never seen the Continental Army. I would have done better to retire to the back country and to live in a wigwam. Your obedient, G. Washington.
What we do rationally. We never go up from nothing. Whining in, to be nothing we can win, and if we cannot win, find nothing to begin. We say this game's not of our choosing. Why should we risk losing? We go man. Mr. Hancock, your man is company. What of us? Why do we join us in our movement? Why do you persist in that join? You don't even like it. That is true. We annoy me quite a lot, but still I gotta trot to Mr. Adams Rugelot. What? What does you glory? What, a century? 3,000? Traitors to what, Mr. Dickinson? The British crown or the British half-crown? Fortunately, there are not enough men or property in America to dictate policy. That may be true, but don't forget that most men come not to face the possibility of becoming rich, but to face the reality of being poor. And that is why they will call us. To the right, and to the right, and to the left, or to the right. Where they go, I'll where they go. Where they go, or sing Hosanna, Hosanna, in a sane and lucid manner. We are moving to conservative.
Now we'd like to try to borrow $1 from one of them. You want another rum, General?
Yeah, Lord, I put it wrong.
Yeah, well, what's the army know? Sit down, gentlemen. The general is too damn hot to work.
What's it like out there, General? Probably knows what it is.
Sitting in here, sweet Jesus, this is the last place to find out what's going on.
I mean, join up.
What are you talking about? You don't have to join us. You're in the Congress.
What's that got?
You don't see them running off to get killed, do you? They sure are good ones for sending off others, I'll tell you that.
Who sent here?
Tom, Secretary of Commerce.
Where are you from? What is that? Where's that? Massachusetts.
Well, then you belong down there. But, be careful. Something about that chair makes the man awful noisy.
See anybody? Sure did. So it's in this spring to get shot dead. First day today. I don't know what you're supposed to do. Then you can wait for dinner. Come on, see. Slow. She got to right off. In the tall grass, Mama, come play before I do die. Hey, hey, Mama, look sharp. Hey, hey, Mama, look sharp. Your eyes, I believe. Am I sad and I'm I'll marry you, I believe. I'll make and never again will you to me.
The Secretary will now read the report of the Declaration Committee. Mr. Thompson.
Declaration by the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress assembled. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bonds which have connected them to another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect for the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes of the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident.
Jefferson, we're back and we've got Maryland. Well, that is, we will, as soon as Chase gets finished telling the Maryland Assembly what we saw in New Brunswick.
He's in Annapolis right now describing a ragtag collection of provincial militiamen who couldn't train together, drill together, or march together. When they saw a flock of ducks blow by, they saw their first dinner in 3 full days. Sweet Jesus, could they shoot together? It was a massacre.
They're reading the Declaration.
What? How far have they got?
To render the military independent of and superior to the civil power.
Independent of and superior to.
Well, it's of no matter. It's a masterpiece. I'm to be congratulated.
You?
For making him write it.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's a masterpiece, I say. They will cheer every word, every letter. I wish I felt that way. I believe I can put it better. Now then attend, as friend to friend, our declaration committee. For us I see immortality in Philadelphia City. A farmer, a lawyer, and a sage, a big galley in the lake. But you know it's quite bizarre to think that here we are, playing midwives to an egg.
Egg? What egg? America, the birth of a new nation. If only we could be sure what kind of bird it's going to be.
On this kind of point, what sort of bird shall we choose as a symbol for our new America?
The eagle. The dove.
The turkey.
The eagle. The dove. The eagle.
The eagle. Turkey.
The turkeys. The eagle's a majestic bird.
Eagle's a scavenger, a thief, a coward, and a symbol of 10 centuries of European mischief.
And the turkey?
A truly noble bird, a native of America, a source of sustenance for our settlers, and a brave little fellow who would not flinch from attacking a whole regiment of Englishmen single-handedly. Therefore, the national bird of America is going to be the eagle. The eagle. We're waiting for the chirp, chirp, chirp of an eaglet being born. Waiting for the chirp, chirp, chirp on this humid Monday morning in this congressional incubator. God knows the temperature's hot enough to hatch a stone, let alone an egg. We're waiting for the scratch, scratch, scratch of that tiny little fellow. Waiting for the egg to hatch on this humid Monday morning in this congressional incubator. God knows the temperature's hot enough to hatch a stone.
But will it hatch an egg?
The declaration will be a triumph. A triumph, I tell you. If I was ever sure of anything, I'm sure of that. A triumph. And if it isn't, you still have 4 days left to think of something else. The eagle's going to crack the shell of the egg that England laid. Yes, so we can tell on this humid Monday morning in this congressional incubator. And just as Tom here is within, though the shell may belong to Great Britain, the eagle inside belongs to us. And just as Tom here is within, we say to hell with Great Britain, the eagle inside belongs to us.
And that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. That as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, and to do all other absolute things which independent states may of right do. For the support of this declaration, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Very well. Now we can start the report of the declaration. Are there any wish to alter, offer, amendments, deletions, or alterations to the declaration? Please, McNair, you better open up the window. Colonel Keene, I saw your hand first.
Tom, it's a funny paper you read. But somewhere in it you mentioned Scottish and foreign mercenaries sent to destroy us? Scottish, Tom?
It's in reference to a Highland regiment that stood against us in Boston.
More likely it was German foreign kills to disguise their being there. I ask you to remove the word. The boy given offense to a good people.
Mr. Jefferson? Reverend Witherspoon.
Mr. Jefferson, nowhere have you mentioned the Supreme Committee. Certainly this was an oversight, for how can we expect to achieve a victory without its help? Might I humbly suggest the following conditions for one sentence? They firm reliance, protection, John Roberts.
Read.
Among your charges against the king, Mr. Jefferson, you accuse him of depriving us of the benefits of trial by jury. This is untrue, sir. For in Delaware, we have always had trial by jury.
In Massachusetts, we have not.
So then I suggest the words in many cases be added.
Mr. Jefferson.
In many cases. Ah, really? I suppose every time you see those three little words, your puny little chest will swell up with pride over your great historical contribution.
It's more memorable than your unprincipled whitewash on a race of barbarians.
Colonel McKee, that's enough. Mr. Hopkins,
No objections, Johnny. I'm just trying to get a drink.
I should have known. McNair here were wrong. Mr. Parker.
Mr. Jefferson, I beg you to remember that we still have friends in England. I see no purpose in antagonizing them with such phrases as unfeeling brethren and enemies in war. Our cause was the British king, not the British people.
Be sensible, Watson. Remove those phrases and the entire paragraph becomes meaningless. It so happens it's among the most poetic and stirring of any passage in the entire document.
We're a Congress, Mr. Adams, not a literary society. I asked the whole paragraph be stricken.
Mr. Jefferson.
Oh, good God, Jefferson, don't you ever intend to speak up for your work?
I had hoped that the work would speak for itself.
Mr. Hancock,
What is it, Miss McNair?
I can't see an honorary God of the United States of America as a name for a new country.
I don't care what you're fond of, Miss McNair. You're not a member of this Congress.
Mr. Sherman,
Brother Jefferson, I noted these two distinct and direct references to the British Parliament in your declaration. Do you think it's wise to alienate that august body in light of our contention that they never had any direct authority over us anyway?
This is a revolution, damn it! We're gonna have to offend somebody!
John, you're going to have an attack of that little country if you're not careful.
Have you heard what they're doing to it? Have you heard?
Yes, I'm
So far, it's only been our friends. Can you imagine what our enemies will do?
The word Parliament will be removed wherever it occurs.
They won't be satisfied until we remove one of the F's from Jefferson's name. Courage, John. It won't last much longer.
Mr. Dickinson,
Mr. Jefferson, I have very little interest in your opinion, as there is no doubt in my mind we have all preferred the left. But I'm curious about one thing. Why do you refer to King George as a tyrant?
because he is a tyrant.
I remind you, Mr. Jefferson, this tyrant is still your king.
When the king becomes a tyrant, he breaks the contract binding his subjects to him.
How so?
By taking away their rights.
Rights which came from him in the first place.
Oh, except one. The right to be free comes from nature.
Mr. Wilson, do we in Pennsylvania consider King George a tyrant?
I don't know. It depends. No. King George is not a tyrant. In Pennsylvania.
There you are, Mr. Jefferson. Your document does not speak for all of us. I demand that the word tyrant be removed.
Just a minute, Mr. Thompson. I do not consent. The king is a tyrant whether we say so or not. We might as well say so. But I already scratched it out.
Then scratch it back in.
Put it back, Mr. Thompson. King remains tyrants. Mr. Hughes. Mr. Jefferson. Nowhere do you mention deep sea fishing. Oh, good God! Fishing lights? How long is this piddling to go on? We've been sitting here for 3 full days. We've endured, by my count, 85 separate changes and removed of close to 400 words. We wouldn't have beat it till you break the spirit. I tell you, this document is a masterful expression of the American mind. There are no more changes. Then I conclude the report of the Declaration Committee is by the moment.
President. I wonder if you could prevail upon Mr. Thompson. Read back a report of the declaration. one begins. He has waged cruel war. Mr. Thompson.
Sir, let's see. He has abdicated, he has plundered, he has constrained, affected, he has combined, he has excited, he has waged cruel war, of course. He has waged cruel war against human nature itself, in the persons of a distant people who never offended him, that captivating and carrying them into slavery in another hemisphere, determined to give up a market where men should be bought and sold. He has prostituted the
Mr. President, Thompson, that was suffice, as I explained. Mr. Jefferson, I can't quite make out what it is you're talking about. Slavery, Mr. President. You're referring us as slaves to the king. No, sir. I'm referring to our slaves. Black slaves. Black slaves. Why didn't you say so, sir? Were you trying to hide your meaning? No, sir. Just another literary license. You like it? I don't like it at all, Mr. Jefferson. In South Carolina, black slavery is a peculiar institution and a cherished way of life. Nevertheless, we must abolish it. Nothing is more certainly written in the Book of Fate than that this people shall be free. I'm not concerned with the Book of Fate right now, sir. I'm more concerned with what's written in your little paper there. That little paper there deals with freedom for Americans. Oh, really? Mr. Adams Town Hall and all black slaves in America. Are they now? They are. They're people and they're here. If there's been any other requirement, I've never heard it. They are here, yes. But they are not people, sir. They are property. No, sir. There are people who are being treated as property. I tell you, the rights of human nature are deeply wounded by this infamous practice. And see your own wounds, Mr. Jefferson, for you are a practitioner, are you not? I've already resolved to release my slaves. And I'm sorry. We have also resolved the creation of your own personal economy. Economy? Always economy! There's more to this than a filthy purse string, Rutledge. It's an offense against man and God. It's a stinking business, Rutledge, a stinking business. Is it really, Mr. Hopkins? And what's that I smell floating down from the north? Could it be the aroma of high hypocrisy? Or who holds the other end of that filthy purse string? Mr. Adams. Aren't all the brethren feeling a bit tender toward our slaves? They're not willing to be keepers of slaves, no. But they're willing to be considerable carriers of slaves. They're willing. Oh, Jim. Haven't you heard, Mr. Adams? Molasses from the slaves. Oh, what a beautiful flow. You dance with us, we dance with you, in molasses and rum and slaves. Sail the ships on a Boston, laden with wines and rum. Who drinks a toast to the Ivory Coast? Africa, the slavers have come. New England with barrels and rum. And it's off with the rum and the Bibles. Take all the slaves quickly. Then hail and farewell to the smell of the African food. Molasses from the slaves. Shall we dance to the sound of the profitable sound? In molasses and rum and slaves. Not a pity, laden with burdens and slaves. This Boston can coast to the West Indies coast. Jamaica we run what he craves. Antigua are they coast. We run by booze and slaves. On all the great figures these events figures on the block. Watch the faces of the oxen standing. White faces on the economic walls. New England faces, seafaring faces. Put them in the ships, stuff them in the ships, ram them in Yes! Very gently, let the options begin! Please!
Back to Boston.
Laden with gold, sea gleam. Whose fortunes are made in the triangle trade? Hell slavery, that New England dream. Hell Boston, hell Charleston.
Mr. Rutledge! Mr. Hughes! Dr. Hall!
Don't worry, John. They'll be back.
Aye.
It's done! Adams! Franklin, I have it, and the Maryland Assemblies approved it. I told them I wanted to break military against the fucked up. What's wrong?
You'll have to forgive them, Mr. Chase. For what is a man profited if he shall gain Maryland and lose the entire sum? Acts, chapter 16, verse 20.
McNair.
I know, 5.
Well, what do you want us sitting around for? We're wasting time, precious time. Thomas, I want you to ride down to Delaware and fetch back to the Rocky.
John, are you mad? 80 miles on horseback. And he's a dying man.
No, he's a patriot.
But what good will it do? The South is going to see.
And suppose they change their minds. Can we get back Delaware now, Caesar?
God, what a bastardly bunch we are.
Stephen, I'm going to the tavern, Johnny. If there's anything I can do for you there, just let me know.
Jeez! Orbit!
What's the use, John? The boat's tomorrow morning.
There's less than a full day left. Laundry.
Face facts, John.
It's finished.
I'm sorry, John.
We have no other choice. Slavery clause has to go.
Franklin, what do you say?
It's a luxury we can't afford.
A luxury. Can't believe souls and change, and Dr. Franklin calls it a luxury. Maybe you should have walked out to the South.
You forget yourself, sir. I founded the first anti-slavery society on this continent.
Don't wave your credentials at me! Perhaps it's time to renew them.
The issue here is independence. Many of you have lost sight of the fact that I have not. How dare you jeopardize our cause when we've come so far? These men, no matter how much we disagree with them, are not ribbon clerks to be ordered around. They're proud, accomplished men, the cream of their colonies. And whether you like it or not, they, the people they represent, will be part of the country you hope to create. Now either start learning how to live with them or pack up and go home. Then you can't stop acting like a Boston fishwife.
Good God. What's happened to me? John Adams. The great John Adams. The wise man of the East. What have I come to? My farm orders to the hill. My law firm down the pipe. The stage of life when other men prosper. I'm reduced to living in Philadelphia. Abigail, what am I going to do?
Dear John,
I need your help.
John usually asks my advice,
Doesn't appear to be anyone else right now.
Very well, John. What is it?
The entire South has walked out of this Congress. George Washington is on the verge of total annihilation. And the precious cause which I fought these several years has come to nothing. And it seems I'm obnoxious in this life.
Nonsense, John.
And I'm unwilling to face reality.
John.
Live
Ah, well, there you have it, John. Faces are equal.
Wasn't any kind of life you have. What I have to do.
I never asked before. After all, I am Mrs. John Adams. That's quite a lot for one lifetime.
Is it that?
Just think of it, John. To be married to the man who's always first in line to be hanged.
The agitator. Why, Abby? You must tell me what it is. I've always been dissatisfied, I know that. But lately I find I reek of discontentment. It fills my throat and floods my brain. And sometimes I feel there's no longer a dream. Only the discontentment.
John, can you really know so little about yourself? Can you think so little of me that the unmarried man you described? Have you forgotten what you used to say, John? I haven't. Commit it, Abby, commit it. There are only two creatures of value on the face of the earth. Those with a commitment, and those require commitment of others. Do you remember, John?
I remember. What?
This is for you.
Just a minute. What is it?
I don't know, they're all messed up there. All the bits of the comfort ladies loving love, and the sisterhood of the Jordan synagogue, and the Friday evening dances always circle, and the holy Christian sisters of St. Clair, all for you,
Just a minute, Abby. What's in this keg? Take this cake to the armory, quick! Franklin! Jefferson, what are you just sitting around for? You're wasting time.
John, didn't you hear a word I said before?
Never mind about that. Here's what you got to do.
John, I'm not even speaking.
It's too late for that, Kevin. There's work to be done. Time's running out. Get up, get out of your chair. Tomorrow is here. Too late, think despair. Jefferson, talk to motherless tongue. It takes on making talking talk and talk and talk. They don't listen to anyone who listens to you. Franklin, song like you talking song and song and song.
I'm still from Massachusetts, John. You know where I stand. I'll do whatever you say.
Now, you're President of the Congress. You're a fair man, Hancock. Stay Tell me, Mr. Thompson, out of curiosity, do you stand with Mr. Dickinson or do you stand with me? Sir, I stand with the general. Lately I've had the oddest feeling that he's writing just to me. I have been in expectation of receiving a reply on the subject of my last 15 dispatches. Is anybody there? Does anybody care? Does anybody care? Humble, please. Is anybody there? Does anybody care? Does anybody see what I see? They want me to quit. They say, John, give up the fight. Still to England I say, good night, forever good night. For I have crossed Rubicon, let the great river behind me come. What may come, what may come in back. The croakers all saber through the day. There'll be hell to pay in my purgatory. All the blue, I can see the rays unravishing light and glory. Is anybody there? Does anybody care? Does anybody see what I see? I see fireworks. I see the pageant in pomp and parade. I hear the bells ringing out. I hear the cannons roar. I see Americans, all Americans free forevermore. How wide the chamber is. How silent the chamber is. Is anybody there? Does anybody care? Does anybody see what I see? Yes, Mr. Adams, I do. Dr. Hall. I'm sorry if I startled you, but I couldn't sleep. Trying to resolve my dilemma, I remembered something I'd once read. That a representative not only owes the people his industry, but his judgment. If he
betrays them and he sacrifices them to their opinion.
It was written by Edmund Burke, a member of the British Parliament.
Very well. Congress will now vote on Virginia's resolution on independence. Thank you for coming, Caesar. And God bless you, sir. Call the roll, Mr. Thompson. And I remind you, gentlemen, that a single name vote will defeat the motion. New Hampshire. New Hampshire says yay. New Hampshire says yay. Massachusetts. Massachusetts says yay. Massachusetts says yay. Rhode Island. Rhode Island says yay. Rhode Island says yay. Connecticut. Connecticut says yay. Connecticut says yay. New York. New York abstains. New York abstains. New Jersey. New Jersey says yay. New Jersey says yay. Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania.
Mr. Secretary, Pennsylvania isn't ready yet. Come back to us later.
Pennsylvania passes. Delaware. Aye. Delaware says yay. Maryland. Maryland says yay. Virginia.
Virginia says yay.
Virginia says yay. North Carolina.
North Carolina, yields to South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Well, Mr. Adams,
Well, Mr. Rutledge.
You must believe that I will do what I have promised to do.
What do you want, Rutledge?
Remove the offended passage from your declaration.
If we did that, we'd be guilty of what we ourselves are rebelling against.
Nevertheless, remove it. For South Carolina will bury it, now and forever. Your dream.
John, I beg you to consider what you're doing. Mark me, Franklin. If we give in on this issue, posterity will never forgive us.
That's probably true. But we'll be long gone. What will posterity think we were? Demigods or men? No more, no less. Trying to get a nation started against greater odds than a more generous God will allow. First things first, John. America, independence. For if we don't secure that, what difference will the rest make?
Jefferson, say something.
What else can be done?
Well, man, you're the one who wrote it.
I wrote all of it, Mr. Adams.
Man, you got this thing. It feels good at me, too. Now vote, damn you!
Secretary, the fair colony of South Carolina says yes.
South Carolina says yay.
North Carolina says yay.
North Carolina says yay. Georgia.
Georgia says yay.
Georgia says yay. Pennsylvania. Let me call.
Mr. President, Pennsylvania regrets all the inconvenience that such distinguished men as Adams, Franklin, and Jefferson will put to the case. And want to get their precious documents checked for all the difference. Mr. Secretary, that's the
Mr. President, I ask the delegation be polled.
Dr. Franklin, don't be absurd.
A poll, Mr. President. It's a proper request.
Yes, it is. Poll delegation, Mr. John. Dr. Benjamin Franklin.
Yes.
Mr. John Dickinson.
Yeah.
Mr. James Wilson. Judge Wilson.
There it is, Mr. Wilson. It's up to you now. The whole question of American independence rests squarely on your shoulders.
How did you nation?
Whether you can be born or die in birth, I'll let you say so. Which will it be, Mr. Wilson?
And remembering that the world is waiting for your decision. Calm down, James. Nothing has changed. We mustn't let Dr. Franklin create one of his confusion. The question's clear.
What's the question right there when someone else has to decide?
It would be a pity for a man to hand down hundreds of wise decisions from the bench to be remembered for the one unwise decision he made in Congress.
James, keeping everyone waiting, the secretary has called for your vote.
Please don't push me, John. I know what you want me to do. But Mr. Adams is correct about one thing. I'm the one who's going to be remembered for it. I'm not like you, John. I'm not like most of the men here. I don't want to be remembered. I just don't want the responsibility.
Whether you want it or not, there's no way of avoiding
Not necessarily. If I go with them, I'll make it one among dozens. No one will ever remember the name of James Wilson. If I go with you, I'll be the man who prevented American independence. I just didn't bargain for that.
Is that how two nations are formed? By anonymity, preserving the anonymity he so richly preserves?
Revolutions come into this world like bastard children. I've been provided and I'm compromised. Our side has provided the compromise. The Wilson supply I'm sorry, John. My vote is yes.
Pennsylvania says yay. And the count being 12 to none with one abstention, the resolution on independency is adopted.
It's done. It's done.
Mr. Thompson, is the declaration ready to be signed?
Sir, it is.
Then I suggest we do so. And the sheriff further proposes, for our mutual security and protection, that no man continue to sit in the Congress without attaching his name to it.
Mr. President, I cannot, in good conscience, sign this. I will never stop moving for our mutual reconciliation with you. But because I, in my own way, hold America no less than does Mr. Adams, I will join your arms and fight. Even though I believe that fight. Five. Judgment of the Congress. I say to you, John Dickinson.
Are there any objections to the declaration being approved as it now stands?
I have one, Mr. President.
You, Mr. Adams?
Yes. Mr. Jefferson, it so happens the word is unalienable, not inalienable.
I'm sorry, unalienable is correct.
I happen to be a graduate of Harvard, Mr. Jefferson.
I attended William and Mary, Mr. Adams. Mr. Jefferson, will you yield to Mr. Adams' request? No, sir, I will not.
Oh, very well, I'll George. Good for you, John. I'll speak with the printer about it later.
We are about to brave the storm in a skiff made of paper. And how it will end, God only knows.
That's a mighty large signature there, Johnny.
The fat George in London can read it without his glasses. All right, gentlemen, step right up. Step right up. Don't miss your chance to commit treason. Hancock's right. This paper is our passport to the gallows. There's no backing out now. We don't hang together, we shall most assuredly hang separately.
In my case, hanging won't be so bad. One quick snap and it'll be over. Just like that. But look at me there. He'll be dancing and singing long after all.
Gentlemen, excuse me if I don't join in the merriment, but we're arrested right now. My name's still the only one on the damn place.
From the Commander, Army of the United Colonies in New Army of the United States. York, dispatch number 1209. To the Honorable Congress, John Hancock, President, dear sir. I can now report with some certainty that the eve of battle is near at hand. Toward this end, I have ordered the evacuation of Manhattan and directed our defenses to take up stronger positions on the Brooklyn Heights. At the present time, my forces consist entirely of Hazard's Delaware Militia and Smallwood's Marylanders, a total of 5,000 troops to stand against 25,000 men. You begin to notice that many of them are lads under 15 and old men, none of whom could truly be called soldiers. One person alone is Mr. Lewis Morris of New York. I must regretfully report that his estates have been totally destroyed, but that I have taken the liberty of transporting Mrs. Morris and 8 of the children to Connecticut safely. 4 older boys are now enlisted in the Continental Army. I write these words. The enemy is plainly in sight beyond the river. How to land only Providence can direct. But dear God, what brave men I shall lose. Before this business ends. Repeat it. Keep watching.
Go ring the bell, McNair. Mr. Livingston. To hell with New York. I'll sign it anyway. Thank you, Mr. Livingston. Mr. President, like my personal tragedy, I will sign it too. Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Stephen, sit down.
Now, Johnny, I want to remember each man as he signs.
Yes, very well. Mr. Thompson.
New Hampshire. Dr. Josiah Bartlett. Massachusetts. Mr. John Adams. Rhode Island. Mr. Stephen Hopkins. Connecticut. Mr. Roger Sherman. New York. Mr. Lewis Morris. New York, Mr. Robert Livingston. New York, Mr. Philip Livingston. New Jersey, the Reverend Jonathan Witherspoon. Pennsylvania, Dr. Benjamin Franklin. Pennsylvania, Mr. James Wilson. Delaware, Mr. Caesar Rodney. Delaware, Colonel Thomas McKean. Delaware, Mr. George Reed. Maryland, Mr. Samuel Chase. Virginia, Mr. Thomas Jefferson. North Carolina, Mr. Joseph Hughes. South Carolina, Mr. Edward Rutledge. Georgia,